Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Paramount. This is their part number BB1099, 4.5, 32D NRP. So if you're familiar with hinges, you might see some similarities in that part number BB99101. It's not by coincidence that these are named to match other manufacturers or hybrid other manufacturers' part numbers. At the end of the day, this is an imported heavyweight ball bearing solid stainless full mortise 5-knuckle hinge. That's 4.5 by 4.5. NRP, non-removable pin. You can see that set screw there. And like I had said, a solid stainless. Okay, so just a little bit of background first. The name Paramount is a name synonymous with good quality imported builder's hardware. I don't know. I know that there's a connection between them and a major Canadian firm. I don't know if that Canadian firm is who they exclusively work with, and I know that they work with them, but I don't know if they're bringing stuff in independently, whatever the case might be. My opinion is that this is probably, no, I don't have an opinion about it. It would just be a guess. This is definitely certainly, in my opinion, an Asian manufactured hinge. Absolutely. It looks like other Asian manufactured hinges. All I'm addressing here is the country of origin, speculating about it really, and so that you know exactly what you're looking at. This is a hinge that would be very typical and common that you would use in lots of applications. Where would that be? Well, a door that's probably going to be heavier, a door that might be getting used more, an exterior door, most likely. Why all of that? Well, first of all, it's a 99, which means it's a heavyweight. And a heavyweight on a 4.5 inch tall hinge is 180 thousandths. My caliper says the hinge is 178 thousandths. That's pretty good. Most manufacturers vary a little bit more than 2 thousandths of an inch. So it's a heavyweight hinge, and a heavyweight hinge is about 50% thicker than the standard weight hinge, which would be 134 thousandths. Why you would want this is because you literally have a heavier door. Let's say you have a 3070 door that's 16 gauge. And why is it 16 gauge? Well, because the spec set exterior doors are to be, not 18 gauge, that's for interior. We're going to use heavier 16 gauge doors and heavier 14 gauge frames in exterior applications. The logic being that, you've got 5 exterior doors and you've got 50 interior doors. Well, which doors are going to be used or cycled more, per door? The inside or the outside? Obviously the outside. Or you could have a door that's a little bit wider, might be an 18 gauge door, but a little bit wider. But generally what will happen is when you stay with 4.5, but you make the hinge thicker, I'm thinking a heavier door. It literally weighs more because it's a thicker gauge steel or whatever the case might be. If you go to wider doors, 3.6 and above, 5 inch tall. And then the weight and the volume of use will tell you standard weight or heavyweight. So I'm thinking this is a 3070 or a 3080 or a 3068 that just simply has heavier weight, more weight to it, or higher volume, or both, in fact. A heavyweight hinge is always a good idea in the sense that it is absolutely more substantial and robust and better equipped to operate in a healthy condition over the lifespan. You can also tell it's 5 nut. Well, you probably can't see it, but I can tell by looking at it and holding it. Yep, that's a heavyweight hinge. But you can tell, if you're not sure of that because it has 4 bearing packets. That is a telltale sign of a heavyweight hinge. Okay, it's got 4 ball bearing packets. They stamp their hinge. They're not the only company who does that, but they have a BB1099 stamped on the back side of that. And the hinge is 4.5 inch tall by 4.5 inch wide. The height is the first dimension. That's important to know because this hinge, while it's square, many hinges aren't. You can have a 5 by 4.5. You can have a 4.5 by 6. You can have an 8 by 6. You can have a 4 by 3.5. It's important to know that the height is the first dimension. It's opposite of how doors are done. Doors are done width first and then height. Hinges are opposite. Why would that be the case? I don't know absolutely, but I liken it to the logic of I need to go from point A to point B, and you're going to tell me, you're going to tell me what direction to head in and at what speed to go at. I want to know both of them. I got to go from A to B, and I have to be there at a certain time. You're going to tell me the direction, and you're going to tell me the speed at which to drive at. What do I want to know first? Well, I need both pieces of information, but tell me the direction first. And with a hinge, I think it's nicer to know the height first and then the width. It would be like head north at 35 miles an hour rather than start going 35 miles an hour. Well, I really can't move until I know which way I'm driving. So that's what I like in it. Doors are width by height. Louvers and kick plates are opposite. A louver would be width and then height. A kick plate would be height and then width. So it's odd. And I think the first dimension is just the one that's slightly more important to know. All dimensions are important to know when it comes to hardware, but if there needs to be a priority, this is the priority that you want it to be listed in. So anyway, sorry for that. This is a non-removable pin. That tells me that this could be an outswing exterior door that swings out. When that set screw has been tightened, and it has here, if I were to put a pin punch in here and try to drive that pin out, the hinge pin, I would find it all but impossible to do so. All but impossible. You would probably break the tool before you drove that pin out, is the bottom line. If you have exterior doors that swing out, you will want a security feature. Non-removable pin, or known as NRP, is a very common, the most common security feature, but not the only one. Other manufacturers will have a security stud. They will have a combination of non-removable pin and security stud, or reverse security studs. Our security stud is a disc of metal that's been attached to the hinge leaf, and then a hole over here, so that when the door closes, that stud sticks into the hole. Even if you were to drive the pin out, you still won't separate the leaves because that stud is holding it. Reverse security studs are on the back of the hinge and get nestled into a preparation in the hinge reinforcement in the frame and then the hinge reinforcement in the door. It's very common in a airport scenario to see both. The Miami airport, the American terminal, the doors that are leading out to the parking garage, they are literally security stud and non-removable pin. I don't know if the doors to the parking garage need that, but when you think about it and the odd things that have occurred at such places, yeah, they're closing those doors. They need to be locked down. That's all there is to it. So that's where you'll see that kind of stuff. That's definitely overkill for a back door of a coffee shop in a strip mall. Unless it's not. It may not be, depending on what your exposure to attempt to break in could be. So keep in mind there are security options. This is in a 630 finish. That means two things. It means it's made of solid stainless and that it has a brushed finish. This is also made of a 304 type stainless. There are different grades of stainless. The ones that you'll commonly find in the door hardware industry are 304 and 316. It's unusual to see a hinge in 316, although hinges do generically exist in 316 as well. I did a very large project for the Mass Transit Authority in the city of Doha, in the country of Qatar, and there were a couple of hundred. They weren't butt hinges, but they were all 316. These are hinges that are constantly exposed to the environment. They were quite expensive as well, so you can know that there's two types of stainless, but this is going to be 304, and any hinge you buy will be very corrosion resistant, etc. Speaking about stainless, it's the most durable of all finishes. The combination of brush over the base material. If you want the most durable of finishes, you will want to specify either 32D or 630. They mean the same thing, different standards. But that will yield you the most durable of finish. That's for sure. People will also buy stainless not for the base material, the properties of the base material, but just because they want the exact look of stainless. Satin nickel is very close to this, although satin nickel is a little bit more blue to me. Satin chrome is close as well. It's a little more zinc reflective to me. So you could, if you don't care about the base material, you could order satin nickel. That would be, you could do that on a plating over steel. That would be quite close to this. But this client, I can't tell by their address what the application is. who knows? You know, it's probably all of the above. It's going to include screws. This is the fasteners that you would get in an entire box. All machine screws, all wood screws. The hinge is priced per hinge. Almost all hinges are priced per hinge. The fact that they put 3 in a box is just, that's the size of the 300,000 boxes they ordered. They can fit 3 in here. If you needed 4 hinges or 10 like this client, it's going to come like this. So the price is not per box, it's per hinge. You can have, if you're doing a Dutch door, you'll probably need 4. If you're doing a 12-foot tall door, you'll probably need 5. So these are even and odd numbers that you can buy. Let's switch to the screen view and let's take a closer look at all of the supporting information. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Here is the item that we are looking at. Let's take a look at some photographs that we have first. There's the box. Ah, it's right there. That's where it's from. There's your hinge. This is showing, this would be a cross-section of the hinge when the door is open at 180 degrees. This shows the swag on the hinge leaf, the bend of the hinge leaf. That means this sort of bend is, it's full mortise. The way that you bend the leaf changes the type of hinge. If there was no bend at all and the leaf came straight off the back of the barrel, that would be a full surface hinge. You could also bend this at an angle, at an angle to accomplish a raised barrel hinge and the different derivatives of a raised barrel hinge. You could bend the leaves to come up with different hinges like a swing clear hinge. Anyway, that's a full mortise hinge. That's the backside. And I show the backside just to indicate that they are actually finishing the backside as well. Many hinge manufacturers don't treat the back of the hinge as they do the front. I wouldn't say that this is equal, but I would say that it's at least not left raw. Close-up of the brushing. Close-up of the security set screw. And then your fasteners. Now, extended description information. Non-handed, full mortise, ball bearing, heavyweight, non-removable pin. 3 in a box, sold per hinge. Screws. Undercut machine screws included. And undercut machine screw is, well, you can kind of see here, that the flathead nature, and then it's cut flat here. That's the undercut portion. The reason screws like this are undercut head is because if this was a full flathead, you wouldn't be able to get the head of that flush with the surface of what you were attaching, so they undercut those heads. It allows a flathead screw that's of a larger diameter to fit flush into a thinner base material. Standard template hole pattern conforming to ANSI A156.7. That is a ANSI standard that defines criteria for hinges. And if you can say that your hinge conforms with that, then you've met the criteria in that ANSI standard, American National Standards Institute. Template pattern simply means the exact location of these holes for a 4-inch tall hinge is standard across all manufacturers if they say that their hinge is a template hinge. The exact locations, how far over it is, how far down it is, will match everyone else's hinge when the term template is used. 5-knuckle, size, stainless. There's a template here. This is really a cut sheet, actually. Cut sheet and template, I suppose. Okay. An overview. They can do it in steel base material as well. The BB1099 shows the different sizes and configurations that they offer, along with different finishes. And an overview of all the dimensions. Now, there is a link below this video as seen here to the manufacturer's page, and from here you can pull up not only all of the Paramount items that we sell by means of this horizontal navigation as seen here, but also a link to the manufacturer's most current product catalog and their website. I would take a dive into their product catalog. When it comes to door closers, lock sets, hinges, and exit devices, Paramount's going to have you covered. with good quality, good value, imported builder's hardware. Let's wrap up this video on camera. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. So I had just said that when it comes to exit devices and door closers and locks and hinges, Paramount will have you covered. You know, their business model is extremely generic in that sense. You can buy door closers, exit devices, lock sets, and hinges that are made in Asia from scores of people. You can. I can. There's far more of those people that do that business that are needed in the market as far as I'm concerned. And what you're really buying, though, so I'm buying a People's Republic of China hinge. I get that. You can buy that from lots of people. The reason I choose to buy it from Paramount is because of the people at Paramount. That's what separates. That's what you're really buying. You can buy this hinge from, as I said, scores of people, but I elect to not use others before I would use others, and it's because of that service. There's a couple of customer service reps there that, you know, all they want to do is just make you happy, and they will go out of their way, and they routinely go out of their way. I've asked them to do things that are outside of the box, and it's just because, you know, the customers depending on us to get this for them. I told them that you guys were extremely good, and they love to hear that, and they will absolutely go out of their way. And that is not the case with companies that are orders of magnitude larger. They will not go out of the way at all, and it's hard to even get someone on the phone. Not the case with Paramount. If they're guilty of anything, it's too much information, and we appreciate how devoted they are to just simple customer service functions. If you have any questions on the BB1099 hinge from Paramount or any other Paramount product, please feel free to reach out to us, and thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.